I did pick up a couple of Razer Black Widow keyboards from one of the local resale shops. So, $150 keyboards that I got for about $10. Well, one of them was the Black Widow Ultimate, and one of them was the Black Widow Elite. And nothing really wrong with them. I think the Elite, it's the one with the volume scroller. I got to go in there with some deoxit or some rubbing alcohol and just clean that up a little bit. And then I had to 3D print one of the little pieces that connects into the space bar and mounts to the support bracket, so that way you can use the space bar from any spot in it instead of just the center. So that was a good buy. I mean, for a wired keyboard, they're top of the line. One of them's got blue keys, one of them's got green keys. One of them will be a present for somebody for Christmas.
Are they clicky keys, like cherry
Yeah.
switches?
Yes, MX Cherry.
Nice.
Blues and greens. So the blues are the louder ones, the greens are the more mechanical feeling ones.
Are they the ones that you can hear from 2 rooms away, like?
Some of that depends on the back plate. So I do have louder keyboards, like the Red Dragon is louder because of the back plate, and it's got MX Cherry blues in it. So, but they're quite loud compared to what most people enjoy.
And is it the tactile feel of it, or is it the fact that it's loud enough to bother people that makes it fun? Or both?
Both really. I used to love taking my loud keyboard into work and having it there and just annoying the people at the halfway across the room.
Especially when you can type really fast.
Yeah.
Because then it's like...
What are they going to do? Come by and say, hey, stop typing? No.
Open up a text editor and just go crazy.
Start journaling in the middle of work. Are you writing a book? How'd you guess? Yeah, they are louder keyboards, and those are gaming keyboards, and they do have an audio jack and a USB extension on them. I think one of them, the Ultimate, has 2 USB ports, and then the Elite only has 1. Yes, they will make excellent Christmas gifts.
Here's a completely random question. Do any of you like those Microsoft natural keyboards where they're like turned at a weird angle?
Ergonomic ones?
Yeah.
I've used them. They're okay. I also like the idea of split keyboards, but I haven't found a split keyboard that was quite. There's one that came out that's like completely wireless, like both sides are wireless. I might be able to use that, but I'd love to be able to set up a split keyboard and then like have one on like each arm of my chair.
That would be awesome.
That'd be cool.
You made me think of some kind of like glove, like typing glove. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, there's a couple of different versions of that. Well, he's talking about the Nintendo one, or gesturing for the Nintendo one. But no, there's one where it's like it sits on your desk. It looks kind of like a gaming keyboard, so like a half keyboard. But you put your hand in it, and then like you can. It's got this thing that comes up this way, and so you can move your finger up to type or down to type or whatever else. So all your fingers. Yeah, it's out there. I think it's mostly used for gaming as well. It can be a full keyboard. Then there was another one that was in Kickstarter that I thought about backing, but I knew it wasn't actually going to come out, where you like hold the keyboard and then you type on the back.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
You're holding it and then you're just using these fingers to type.
You know what? This is how my weird mind works. Now I just thought of Blackberries, or those old pagers that had the tiny little keyboards.
Yeah.
I got so used to typing on those little chiclet things that whenever touchscreens first came out, I was bummed out because I was terrible at touch typing comparatively.
Yeah, I missed little flip out keyboards.
No, like the BlackBerry or the HTC Dash that had the little domed keys. Yep. Yeah, no.
Well, I liked that the BlackBerry had the thumb
tactile
too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they were running Windows Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Windows Mobile phone.
So the Dash was a Windows Mobile phone, and the Dash 2.
Yeah, you could actually get a lot of stuff done on those Windows Mobile devices.
Well, connected to the internet.
Compared to a flip phone, or compared to a a Palm Pilot or something.
True, which is why I bought one and I was playing with it for a while. But I mean, I tried using like a spreadsheet on there to do some basic stuff. I think I used it for like Christmas, keeping track of like Christmas gifts or something like that, and it was still very janky.
Yeah, they were a little jank, and it was honestly better just to get a PDA at that time frame. I mean, get a Windows PDA, have a stylus, and do it all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I could deal with one of those keyboards that are split on the side, or like the two-handed keyboard. I don't think I could deal with that.
I think it would take some getting used to.
Mm-hmm.
I have noticed that I seem to type better if my keyboard is up at like a good solid angle like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, but it's I can.
It'd be like switching to a Dvorak keyboard. Like that would take me a long time to get.
Yeah, that's completely relearning how to type.
It's the same. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't need to completely relearn to type with the split, but yeah, it would still be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, there'd have to be a pretty strong incentive, like reason to do that.
Because, sitting in the captain's chair is awesome.
Well, not the split keyboard, the Dvorak, like switching to a different style.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be faster, and the key placement is supposed to be better because, like, the QWERTY keyboards we use now were designed for typewriters and to force you to slow down in your typing, so that way you didn't get jams when the bars went forward, which is why the Dvorak is supposed to be better. But it's never been widely accepted because of where we started from, and everybody learns the QWERTY.
Right.
It's crazy how a standard like that just, they just came up with it. And then that just was because it was the beginning of the, typewriter revolution that it just got. Because I watched something about it, like how there were a lot of different competing layouts and stuff like that. Yeah. And just so happened that one kind of won out.
Well, I thought that one was specifically designed, one, to slow you down, and two, to prevent... to keep, letters that you type commonly as far from each other as possible on the levers, so that way there weren't jams as you were going from one letter to the next.
Right. Back when that was a concern, but yeah, I think that might be like one of the true next revolutions, and I don't know if AI drives this or something, but instead of needing to use a keyboard and mouse to effectively not communicate, but like input data, interface with a system, will natural language ever be like, can I actually just tell a system to do something and have it be,
I expect you'll be able to, but I expect because of how work environments are that that won't be common practice in most cases.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
Like the amount that people are using touch screens, like all my kids' schools, that they don't really even want to. They barely want to teach actual physical writing anymore because they figure everything is going to be on the iPad or something else. They're more focused on. I know it's not. I know this is fucking stupid and it drives me absolutely nuts. But they don't put any effort into it. They're like, oh, it's fine.
Okay.
Nobody writes anything anyways. It's all and it's all fucking like touch screen, and I hate touch screen. I'd rather just give me a fucking keyboard. I can deal with an actual keyboard. I can use my hands with. If I'm going to do anything where I need to put a great deal of text in, I'm never going to use a fucking touch screen.
I understand the death of cursive, but you still need to be able to put shit down on paper.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. And you need cursive for your name. Not much else besides that, but you need it for your name, and you still need to be able to put shit down on paper.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I actually asked my daughter, I was like, are they teaching you keyboarding? Are they teaching you like any kind of, and they really don't put any effort or anything behind that at all. I think they expect kids to learn, like there's no general computing class or anything like that. Like they just expect these kids to know how to use technology. Yeah. And that's also expecting the parents to know how to use technology, because a lot of parents don't know how to do anything with a computer. So,
it never ceases to amaze me how much people don't know about the devices they use every day. But honestly, most people these days have at least a general understanding of how to turn a computer on and how to get to a website.
Right.
How to send an email.
Well, you have to imagine that most of the generation that have kids in school right now, most of those parents have grown up with some sort of a computer around at some point during their life. Now, the generation like my in-laws, my father-in-law still absolutely refuses to touch. He has a flip phone. And absolutely refuses to touch. I think he had to do something for his work once. Like they had like mandatory, like ELM type of a thing where it's some electronic learning knowledge, whatever. Something where he's supposed to sit there and click through a thing. I think he wound up closing the box by accident, and he sat there going, "I broke it." You didn't break it. You just closed. I know I broke it. I broke the whole thing. Okay, buddy, that's all right. We'll do it over again. All right.
What's interesting though, because there was this sort of adoption curve of technology in the workplace, and then technology at home with the personal computer sort of revolution, and I feel like there was a fairly substantial portion of people who had general computer literacy. Who kind of at least knew how to do basic stuff on a computer. And it's amazing that smart devices and mobile devices have now kind of eroded that quite a bit. And what I see in younger people is that they don't know how to use a computer at all. They don't
I do know a lot of people where their phone is their only device.
Right. And it's very limiting because you can only do so much on a phone. And honestly, the other thing is, if you get into any kind of a corporate environment, in most cases, they still expect you to be able to use a computer. And so if you didn't have a computer literacy course in school or in college, or, you get to a business and all of a sudden,
look, you can't even apply for jobs if you don't know how to use a computer these days.
Well, how do you learn?
Gotta do it.
I guess, but it's I just feel like there was this sort of like, if you look at a graph, there was this kind of climbing trend where a lot of people had, again, just the basic skills. And yeah, and I guess I just always expected younger people to be savvier, like generation after generation is just going to be better and better at technology. And really, because of the way we've dumbed down devices, like are really not. And in some cases, they're not nearly as savvy as like we are, which is so odd to me.
I also have another odd theory about that, where it's that, and I think it may not apply, but the amount of people who now have devices and are into this type of a thing are not the same people who were using computers before in the first place. Because you look at it now, and like everybody has some sort of a mobile device or something, but these aren't the same people who would use a computer. It's, I don't know, it's something odd that it's, that people talk about how I don't know how people used to be able to use computers, or that everybody used computers beforehand, and now everybody is using mobile. My opinion is this: all the people that are using mobile aren't necessarily the same people that are using computers. The people who use computers and liked using computers are still using computers, and it's just that everybody else who wasn't using computers are using mobile. So you have the combination of those people who like using computers are also using mobile, and those people who weren't using a computer beforehand are now onto the mobile end of things. Which again, I'm not exactly sure is the same point, but it's I don't think there's a same connotation between people who use computers and people who use mobile, because I think those are two separate people, and they've always been the same separate people.
So you see, those are sort of divergent pieces of tech. I'm sorry.
I have some input here too.
Oh, okay.
One of the things I studied back in the day when they were teaching Pascal as the language to do whatever, I was doing it on a big CDC machine remotely through UMass Boston. But afterwards, everybody was taught Visual Basic, and a lot of those computer literate people were never taught the difference between integers and floating point. That is to say, they don't know about rounding error because everybody in Visual Basic land just deals with floating point. They don't have to know how to detect fundamental. Even when they're using computers as computers, they don't know how, they don't go down to the bits, even if they're so-called computer literate. And they won't know why your spreadsheet may or may not have rounding problems.
That's a fair point. You maybe not that specific example, but when you say that, I remember in my own lifetime when I was probably 8 or 9, I started using a Tandy TRS-80, and like everything I did, I didn't have storage at that point. I didn't even have like the tape deck or tape drive, nothing. So basically, when I turned it on, I just got a prompt, and if I wanted to do anything at all on that system, I had to type a program, and whether it was a small, thing or multiple pages or whatever, I had books of, basic programming. And then I remember, the next step was getting the tape deck so that I could like store the programs and then recall them. And then I got a floppy drive. And so, computers became progressively easier to use. And you're absolutely right. Like the idea that what we consider computer use today is so abstracted from what it used to be in terms of like the skill set you needed, why you would use a computer, what you'd want to accomplish, that type of thing. That's actually a really interesting point.
Also, I have done accounting, and for a small stationery store, but the account system was written in Lotus 123, which is to say that any open office system could probably run the stuff, or LibreOffice or what have you. But in order to deal with the accounting stuff, one would have to at least acknowledge that your spreadsheet may have rounding error issues or cross-posting issues where you're summing things across the page as well as up and down. I have no formal accounting training, but I hammered out a lot of shit on that machine. And believe it or not, what really killed it is he was backing up to floppies and he missed a backup or two, and that really screwed everything up because you can't do that with accounting because you have to keep infinite records.
Yep, a lot of stuff's got to be kept for at least 7 years. There's some 3-year stuff, some 5-year stuff, 7-year, and then perpetuity.
Also, this was done under DOS on a machine that was very underpowered for what he paid for it, I can tell. I mean, it was a 386 or something, maybe, but God. My Raspberry Pi can run rings around it and could probably do everything that could do and more. Heck, it can probably do it under emulation. But the whole thing is, if you're doing significant work with a computer, you have to realize that the computer, that your definition of 10 point something or other is not what your computer is necessarily going to agree with.